Hey there, folks. Gip Erskine here, Values Driven Coaching. And you get me in stereo here where I show my headshot down lower left, and here I am upper right. But we're here to talk about the low bid trap. And if you've heard me before, you know my passion is about trying to break free from the trap, get the keys to unlock the door to the trap, and stop the myopic, singular focus on price and start talking about totality of value. And that's really what this video is all about. But the positioning is why great companies, perhaps like yours, even keep losing business when they should be winning the right business. The opportunities, there are some really good ones, and there's ones that we don't have any business chasing. But we're going to highlight a little bit about that while we talk about the main theme of making value, that's your value, visible. So let's talk about what that actually looks like, shall we? So the question is, why are you still losing opportunities at lower priced competitors? And typically in this low bid trap, we talk about quantifying the specifications on the left and stacking up the bidders pricing on the right. And by the time you take a look at the whole thing, you look at low bid wins, and that's the end of the conversation. So the problem isn't the fact that you weren't cheap enough. The problem is that you were not able to highlight and illuminate the value in a way that makes it measurable and makes it impactful enough so that property managers can give weight to it. So there is an entire process that goes along with it. But the fact is, we've all I've been complicit when I was in property management to create this framework, to create this trap. And so I'm now stepping back and saying, this is not appropriate. This is not the way it should be done. It's one thing to look at products one way, this way. It's another thing to look at service platforms and the people that are behind it. We were missing the totality of value, and we're myopically focused on price as the single determinant of that value. So let's talk about that. There's the illusion of savings. Price wins because it looks like I can do something less than what I'm paying for today. And so the fact that it's the only metric on the page, other than maybe the year you were established and number of years in business and some other things that kind of get lost in the shuffle, but it's the easiest one to compare. It's the easiest one to defend and said, hey, here's why I'm explaining it to you, Mr. Owner, Mr. Asset Manager, that I'm not awarding to the most expensive. I'm really here to safeguard your bottom line and squeeze where I can. And look at me, I'm a champion negotiator, and we get stuck with the cheapest. So shows the difference between price and cost. And so when you take cost out of the equation and you just look at price is what you pay at the pump. Price is that momentary adjustment to whatever it is you were paying before. But there are hidden costs that show up later, downstream costs like deferred maintenance. If you do cheap today, you're only asking for it down the road. If you create issues today, I'm now wasting time, others' time, like our clients' time, in solving those issues that should never have been created. And then there's the damage control and the political capital that's lost and the opportunity costs, reputation damage, inconsistent service because I'm spreading my teams too thin. I can't do it with that particular margin, but you forced my hand. I don't know how to do it any differently, but we find ourselves in this trap because we became complicit ourselves on the service provider side and agreed to do that scope for that particular price. So it's this round and round kind of a merry-go-round that gets us in trouble. But who really ends up paying the price? It's all the stakeholders that are involved in the property. It's the property manager with more problems and complaints and the damage control I just talked about. It's the tenants who pay the price downstream by inconsistent service experience and reduced tenant satisfaction. They're rarely ever happy anyway when you poll them as to how is our service. Oh, you guys are great. Okay, great. We're going to increase your rent and renewal time. So they're usually the loudest, most vocal ones to please. And what if you could please them? How about ownership? Ownership loves it when top line revenue gets produced, and that means you're renting vacancies. How can you contribute to those? What they don't like is when they pay the price when the value of their property starts to come down due to errant decisions and deferred expenses and things that surprise us down the road. A new pro forma or a new reforecast shows, oh my goodness, now this is broken. We never should have picked this particular provider had I known that a better option would have been at our fingertips. And then there's the reputation damage. Nobody wants to lease there because of XYZ attributed to that particular property. So low price doesn't eliminate cost. It simply relocates it. Imagine that long balloon, you know, the clown who blows up those long balloons and you squeeze it at one end and it pops over at the other. That's what I'm talking about. You can squeeze price today, but it's going to show up downstream. So what do property managers really want? They want confidence. They want the freedom to know that the choice that they made actually results in greater reliability and responsiveness and ease of communication ability and reduction of risk. So I know that if I place my business in your hands, you've got my back. And yes, price matters, but confidence matters more. So wouldn't you want to experience the freedom of that little boy cruising down the road in the skateboard, just knowing that I've got the reliability, I've got all those things that I'm desperately craving. Why great companies lose? It's all about the mighty dollar. They become commoditized by remaining complicit in the trap, leading with price, talking about their features and not the actual benefits, sounding like everybody else. They want to fit in so they see as many of the opportunities as those guys do, waiting for the RFP. It's like hanging your shingle out there with the phone number, putting that advertisement out there, so please call me, blasting out emails that are like shotgun effect that said, please add me to your bid list. Why? These are the companies that are agreeing to play the low bid game. And the result is that the buyer can only see price and they'll never see value because we stay in the trap. Let's look at it this way. The value becomes invisible when it's not discussed, when it's not measured, when it's not highlighted and showcased. So when price dominates the conversation, then the hidden value remains invisible, like all of the ROI and the savings and risk mitigation and the time saved for higher value projects. There's opportunity cost that's completely overlooked when the myopic focus is on price and price alone. So what do we do? What do we do as service providers? If we know that price is going to get scrutinized and we know that if we can shave a penny here, then we can save 10 cents there, we enhance the value here and there. But the idea is to make value visible and so that you can become the obvious choice. And so share how you create more innovative outcomes. Share how you enhance the value. And you're not just looking at providing cost savings and shaving and sharpening your pencil and doing everything. How do you enhance value at the top line? How do you create outcomes so that your property management and your tenants are proud of the fact that we love this service provider? How do you show proper property stewardship? How do you illustrate responsiveness? How do you enhance your own credibility? If you can highlight those things and showcase those things and put a spotlight on those things, you make value easier to see than price. And then the conversation changes. So when you make value visible, seriously visible, lead with it. You're not leading with your chin and price, you're leading with value, totality of value. Here's what makes us different. Here's why you should care. Here's some metrics that matter. Here's what we bring forward to you. Here's how we have your back. Here's how we become an extension of the management team. Here's how we give you back the bandwidth that you so desperately crave. You all are in the nooks and crannies more than the property manager ever could hope to be. Report those conditions. Be a steward. Put on your ownership hat. Put on the hat of the prospect. What would I want to lease at this property? If not, what would prevent me? Note those things, have those conversations. That's making value visible. Now you have a stake in the outcome. Now you are a partner in bed, so to speak, with your property management clients. So how high is up? When property managers understand value, they stop asking who's the cheapest, and they start asking who creates the greatest outcomes, who makes my life easier and demonstrates that. So just realize that price has a floor. The lowest price can only go so low before the model breaks. Value has no ceiling. So how high is up? There is no limit to how much value you can create, how much value you can enhance, how much value you can have everyone experience, your stakeholders experience that. Everywhere from the prospect who becomes a tenant, from the tenant who becomes an expanding and renewing tenant, from the prospect who leases space through the broker, from the owner who enjoys expanding the occupancy in the building, to the property manager who gets credit for how well the building is managed and maintained. There's no ceiling to value. Why are we hung up on price? It's time to stop and play a different game. Kip Erskine here, Values-Driven Coaching, and I so appreciate the value of your time. Stay tuned for more messages as to how to showcase your value, the totality of value. Come to me at kiperskine.com and find me on LinkedIn, and we'll have a great time together. Thank you again for the value of your time. See you next time.